Welcome once again to today's tutorial. In today's tutorial, we'll be talking about the header menu. For those of you just joining, you can actually click the link somewhere around the top of this video to watch the episode 1, where we talked about responsive design, the Canva dashboard, and the Figma dashboard, which is divided into 3 parts or 4 parts: the left panel, the right panel, the toolbars, and the canvas on its own. So today we're focusing on the header menu. The first thing you want to design in Figma while designing a website is the header menu. So we're going to be looking at the header menu. Now, what's the header menu? The header menu is the part that contains link, buttons, and logo. The first part that contains link, button, and logo in a website. So to design this now, we have to go into frame. You select your frame. Let's pick one of the frames here for easy access. So we'll come over to desktop. Let's pick Mac Pro 14. So now, having this Mac Pro 14, this is what we'll be working with. Now we've had the frame. The other thing to do, just like in the previous tutorial, is to add we should add layout grid. So I'm going to add layout grid here. So now there are 2 ways to add layout grid. Is either you do it manually by clicking the plus button, or you use the installed layout guide already in Figma. So once you click on the apply style menu, this box here, you see different forms of layout grid to use. So you pick one that is linked to what you want to do. Remember, when we're talking about desktop, we'll be aiming to use, we're looking on how to use a grid pattern that has 12 column, because mostly in Figma it has 12 column. Just like in previous tutorial, you can create this yourself. If I want to create this myself, for the benefit of those of you just joining, okay, let me create something similar for the benefit of those of you just coming. So I'll remove this. So now I'll come over to the plus menu. So this is what I have. So I'll come over to this grid icon here, change here to 12. If I'm changing here to 12, then there's an option either to use stretch, right, left, depending on what you want to use, center. So now let's use center in order to have something similar to what we had initially. So for center, I can change here to 70, then change here to 24. You see, I've gotten something similar to what I had here. But I can also say, okay, I want something different. I want maybe stretch. Then what stretch, I can change here to say, I can change the margin to say 64. Then I can change this to say 32. So this is what I have. So this is 2 forms of grid in Figma. At least you've seen how it is being created. So now, for the benefit of our tutorial, let's use the one created by Figma, so you understand perfectly well in case you want to design along. So now we're going to create our menu. Now, in order to create the header menu, the first thing we have to do is let's bring out a text. Now, the header menu usually has a logo. Our header menu will have a logo. It will have navigation link. It will have navigation link, and it will have sign up authentication button. It will have authentication button. It will have authentication button. So now these are the 3 things our header menu will have. So now, in order to work with this now, so what do we do? Let me bring out another text, and let me call this logo. Or better still, let's create a component. Let me call this text menu text. Let me call this menu text. Okay, so I'm calling this menu text, and I want to reduce the size for the menu text. Let's reduce the size to say 18. Beautiful. So now we've reduced the size to say 18 or 20. Let's make it 20 so it will be bold for you to see. Now, when the text is 20, the next thing I want to do is I want to make it an auto layout. So this is an auto layout. So this auto layout, I'll call this auto layout text. Let me call this auto layout text. Now, from this auto layout, we will have our authentication, we'll have our logo and everything. But we want to make it in a component. That's what I just want to make you to understand. So for this first one, okay, let me call this. Let's make this. I'll make this as my reference text. I'll make this as my reference. I'll duplicate this. So if I'm duplicating this, I'll call this logo. Okay. I'm duplicating this, I'll call this logo. So the logo will just have, let me add a placeholder. Let me add a placeholder, let's say 24. 24. This is our logo. And do I give this a stroke? Okay, so I'll leave this as logo, just plain with a placeholder. Then I'll duplicate this. For this, now this will be our nav link. This will be our nav link. This will be used for our nav link. Then authentication button. So this should be my authentication button. Okay, so I'll call this authentication. It's always very necessary to name your auto layout so you don't get confused. So now with this, so I have this authentication button. Let's give authentication button a fill color of, say, black as default. Then nav link, let's leave nav link the way it is. Now one thing in design is this. Remember, I'm trying to create a component set. So one thing in design is this. It's always necessary to have variants. So if I should leave this as my menu, so if I leave my menu as this, then nav link, I want my nav link to have hover states, default states, and pressed states. So if this is nav link, so now I want to rename this. I want to rename this nav link default. Then now for this one, I want when you hover around my nav link, I want them to see a change. So I will add let me add a stroke color and give this a stroke corner radius of 8. So now this is nav link hover. So this is what I want to do. Then now for this is a press state. So for the press state, I want, okay, there's something here. I think this should be white. Okay, I forgot to add the text as white. So now for the nav link, so now this is nav link pressed. So now for the press state, once it is pressed, what do I want? I want the stroke, I want the old color, the fill color, I want to give it a fill color of, say, black. Okay, then I'm going to give it a fill color of, say, black. Then the text color, I'll change the text color to, say, white. Remember, I told you in the last tutorial that we can actually get colors here, because Figma has input colors already here, which we can use if we want to use, or better still, let me start using it so that you will understand the tutorial very well. So now for our text color, so let me use inbuilt Figma color. So I want to use inbuilt Figma color. So add this. Okay, beautiful. So now this is our color. So if you observe something now, our color is now linked to a variable. All our colors is linked to a variable except for this white. So this white now, let's make this white. Let's give this white its own. Let's give this white its own color. Let's make it neutral. Okay, beautiful. Now that is it. Then now for this hover menu, let's give this a color too. Let's remove that color and give this a color from the color guide, from the Figma inbuilt color guide. Better. Then for this one also, I'll remove this and I will add color from Figma. Let's add from this neutral base. Beautiful. So now having done this, I want the corner radius. It should be corner radius of 8. What was the corner radius I used here? Was it 8? Yes. So I believe you're following to this. You're following to this extent. Then for text, should we also use Figma inbuilt text? Okay, you know what we'll do for the text also. I want to use Figma inbuilt text, so you understand these whole things very well. So I'll be using Figma inbuilt text. So let's use from this global token or material design kit. Let's go to material design kit and pick colors, pick text from material design kit. So I'll pick body text. Let's go with body text. Body text large 16. Okay, so whatever we're doing, we're not setting that we're working with Figma design system. So now I have the default, the hover, and the press states here. So now for the authentication screen, if this is sign up, what will my login be? So authentication. So for the authentication, I want authentication hover. I want to give this an hover. Now what will be my hover? Let me add. So I just want to add stroke. So I'll give this a stroke. We'll come over to neutral, we'll pick a neutral color here, one of our neutral color we're using. Then let's remove the fill color, then the whites, we'll remove this white and give it the neutral that we'll be using for the text. So this is it. Then okay, then this, since it's almost the same thing, I'll bring this here, change this to authentication pressed. Okay, authentication pressed. So this is it. So now, having done all this, I think these are three major things I want in my header menu. So I'll group them and I'll come over to create component set. Bam, I now have a component set. So now for this component set, I want to make sure everything is well aligned. So I'll come over to this edit menu. Okay, you see, because I named my auto layout, everything here is well named. The values, you see, authentication over, authentication pressed, nav link over, nav link pressed, logo. Everything is well aligned and named. The 7 variants is well named. So for this property one, I can actually call this let's call this nav menu. Okay, header. Let's call this header menu. Let's call this header menu. So now, so for my component one, I can even rename this component as header menu. So now I've renamed the component one as header menu. With this now, I will now be able to work on my header menu. So what do I do now? To create an header menu, all I just have to do is, remember I said this is logo. I'll copy the logo, Ctrl C, paste my logo here, and everything you do should be within the column, within your column. If you are using the centered column, everything I'm designing should be in the centered column. Then for this, I'll copy this, Ctrl V, I'll paste this here. This is my nav link, and Ctrl C, this is my authentication. So now for the nav link, remember I want everything will certainly not be menu text, so I'll click Shift A. So as soon as I click Shift A, so let me call this now nav link. I'll call this nav link container. So I'm naming this nav link container. So now I'll duplicate every items I have here. So you see it is standing as vertical. So I have to make it horizontal. Then when I make it horizontal, all I need to do is just drag. Then it will be well arranged. For this part now, I can call this home. Whatever I do here does not affect my components. That's a beautiful thing in Figma. Now, so this is home. Then I call this about. So this one here I'll call home about gallery. Then I'll call this home about gallery contact us. I'll call this contact us. Why here? I'll call this sign up. Sign up. Okay, beautiful. Why here? I'll call this Faz homes. Now since this is a logo, I want to change the font. I want to bring something different font entirely, a fanciful font. So I just want to bring in a fanciful font. So I'll remove this text and look for something fanciful. I just want a fanciful text. So I think I like this one. Then I'll remove this, increase it a little. Yeah, I like this. So this is it. Still, whatever I do here doesn't affect this. Remember I said so. Then now, having done this, you see our header menu is taking its shape. Then all I need to do now is place all of them in an auto layout, Shift A. So once everything is placed in an auto layout, you see this. You see it doesn't move. It's supposed to move with the auto layout. But before then, I'll come over here and name this header menu container. So now I've named that header menu container. So everything is supposed to move, but since it's not moving, there is an issue. So how do we resolve this issue? We'll come over to this place, click on alignment, center alignment. Center alignment is supposed to resolve the whole issue. Beautiful. The whole issue has been resolved. Okay, then place this as center. Then sometimes I can also place this, if I want, I can make it this way, but I don't want it that way. I just want it to be at the center. Okay, everything is aligning at the center. We are good to go. So this is our header menu, but there are some certain things still missing. We've gotten our header menu, but there are some things still missing. Now, Remember, whatever we are going to be doing, we are supposed to be looking at mobile first, because it's supposed to be responsive. Anything we're designing should be responsive. It should work in tablet. It should work in tablet and tablet, mobile, and every other thing. So what do I do? How do I get that to working? You see, tablet breakpoint is different from mobile breakpoint and desktop breakpoint. So that leads us to arranging this so that when we shift this or expand it, it's supposed to expand with the header menu. So that's what we're going to be looking at now. So we've done this header menu container. Okay, header menu container. Then there's something I want to do. Now, since this is header menu container, when you're working with some sectors, the container should be fixed, should be inside a fixed container. So this is what I'm trying to say. We have this as a fixed as our container already. So we want to place everything inside the container and fix the header menu inside that fixed container. So let's do that. We'll create another auto layout. So this auto layout this time around. So yeah, we'll create another auto layout. Shift A. So now this auto layout, we'll call this auto layout menu container, fixed container, or fixed menu container. Fixed menu container, or fixed header container, whatever you want to name it. So this fixed header container, I'll push it to the beginning. I'll push it here also to the beginning. Beautiful. You see, it has expanded outside of our column. So now that leads us to the padding. So with your padding now, you shift what you're shifting. You're not shifting everything. You're shifting the menu container. The menu container, you're shifting it. So once it is shifted, you keep this as fixed. Then you keep this one as fill. Okay, keep this as fixed and this as fixed. Will they work for us? Okay, this is fill. Okay, that's it. This is fill. This should be fill, which it is. Then the container should be fixed. Beautiful. Okay, good job. So having done this, we'll come over to constraints. We come over to constraint on the fixed menu container. Shift to left and right. Left and right means wherever it goes with the content. The container shifts with the frame. You see, this is what left and right does. Okay, there are some anomalies which we'll trash, but this is what left and right does. So it shifts with the frame. So having done that, this is fill, this is fixed. So now this is just all we need for our desktop frame. So now let's go over to creating the other breakpoints. Now for the other breakpoint, every details, you see, when I shifted this, while it is shifting, but see, it breaks at some particular place and some certain things is not well aligned. That is because not everything is needed in other breakpoints. For some breakpoints, you have to do, they call it adaptive design. You have to make the responsive design adaptive by doing so. Now let's go over to one of the other breakpoints. We already have this, so let's duplicate for our tablets. So to get a tablet frame, what do? Come over to frame, check for the breakpoint. You go over to tablets. There are different breakpoints here. You see 1440, 83, 1024. So now let's work with iPad Pro 29, which is 1024. So now what do we have to do? We already see that I've already seen that the width is 1024. So I'll come over here, shift the width, decrease this width to 1024. Now, as this is decreased to 1024, there's another thing we have to do. We have to change the layout grid. So now that's the first thing we have to do. So I will remove this from this. I'll come over here. For this, let's make this auto layout 10. Let's keep it as stretched. Okay. Then let's decrease this to 100. And let's make here 16. Beautiful. So now, having done this, you see, what we'll now have to do now is shift this. So I just have to shift this to make sure it gets to the beginning of our frame. So this is our desktop frame. I think the desktop frame and the desktop frame and this is okay. The desktop frame and our tablet frame. So this, I'll call this tablets. So now having done the tablet frame, the next thing I want to work on is the mobile frame. For mobile frame, we have to again work on this. But before we work on this, let's go over to frame. If I come over to frame, I'll come to mobile and check for the particular frame I want. Let's use iPhone 13 and 14, which is 390 weight. So it's having a weight of 390, so I have to reduce this to 390, or better still, just come over to width and change this to 390. As this is changed to 390, again, I will have to work on the layout guide. So what do? I'll come over to layout guide. For mobile frame is usually 4, 8, 16, depending on what you want. So there I'm using 4. Then I'll keep this as center. Then the width, I'll make this width 16. Then okay, no, let's make it stretch. Okay, then here I'll make this 16. Then gutter 16. But you see, something is happening. Lots of details are clogged up here on the mobile frame. So what do I have to do? I have to remove some of them and keep some of them. Now I want to remove the nav link, and removing the nav link means that I will have to create a menu icon, so that when you click the menu icon, it will contain, or it will house, all the item that was deleted from all the items that was deleted from or the nav link that was deleted. So what do I have to do? Let me come here and create another variant. This variant here, I'll call this variant, remember, always name your variant. Let me call this variant menu. So this variant will have just a placeholder. So this variant is having just a placeholder. So now watch what I'll do now. Then there's something, okay, there's something I need to work on here. The margin. You know, the margin is way bigger, so the padding, so I'll shift this padding here. Then this other padding, I'll shift here. Beautiful. So now for this, now I want to remove, so what am I removing? I'm removing the nav link. So this nav link container, so I want to remove the nav link container. The nav link container is off. Then for this sign up, so let's turn this sign up now. I'll change this sign up to logo. So all I have to do is come over to this, change this to logo. So this logo, sorry, menu. So now this is our placeholder for menu. So this is it. This is what we have. Simple. So now we have the files home and the menu icon. Now let's change these old things. But before then, now you'll know there's another thing. You know, if I click on menu icon, you should be able to see. If I click on menu icon, you should be able to see the list of the nav link. So to do that also, that's another thing which we have to do. Duplicate this. And duplicating this, we bring over this nav link. Bring it here. Align it vertically. Place it. These all contents, yeah, beautiful. So this is what you're going to have. This is what you'll be having. Or better say, let's place it at the center. If I'm placing at the center, then I'll need another container to house this container, to make it a fixed container. So I need a fixed container. So I'll create this. I'll call this nav link fixed. Nav link fixed. So if I'm calling this nav link fixed, then, you know, as usual, I'll drag it to the extreme. I'm dragging it to the extreme. Drag the second side to the extreme. Align to the center. Beautiful. Then for the padding, shift the padding until it gets to where it also gets there. Beautiful. So this is what we'll be having. So this is our nav link. So let's make our nav link fixed, since this one is already fixed. Okay, beautiful. So once the menu icon is clicked, this should appear. So we'll work on it though. I'll show you what. There are different ways to make it to appear, but I just want this to appear. But until then, I'll come over here. Let's add logo to these old things, to this menu. So what to do that, I may come over to a plugin called, there are different kinds of plugins, but I'll be using this one for this tutorial. So when I come over to this plugin, so all I have to do now is let's pick homes. So I want to use this plugin, and I'll also be using a menu plugin. So I'll be using a menu plugin. So now what do I do now? So this copy, Control X. So for the menu, so I'll come over to this, replace it with the menu. Immediately it is replaced. Watch what will happen. Here, it has been replaced here on our diagrams. It has been replaced here on the frame. So same thing will happen on the logo. Same thing will happen on the logo. Control X. So when I come over here and fix the logo, see, our logo has changed. Then now there's something else we need to do. Remember I said hover. If I touch on this, it should be able to change to this. If I touch on this, if I hover on this, it should be able to change. And if I press on it, this should appear. So to do that, we'll now come over to, still on the header menu, we'll come over to prototype. I'll come over to prototype. Then I'll click on this, shift it here. Then now this is on hover. I'll place this while hovering. While hovering, this should be done. Then while pressed on tap, this should be done. Then the same thing here while hovering. Then here on tap. Okay, beautiful. So now with this, we've gotten our various logos. Yeah. So now for this particular one, what do I want? When I tap this, this should appear on tap. When I tap this should appear instantly. Beautiful. But there are other cases of designing it in such a way where I can make here half of it will appear as half, but that's as we continue, we'll explain further. But this is just something you need to know for now. So now let's preview. Well, I want to add a design to this thing. Let's add a little design to this. Maybe let's add say circle. Let's add say circle here. Let's give this a fill color. Let's give this one of the fill colors we have in our material design color, in our inbuilt color. So brown. The brown is not looking cool. Okay, I think I like this. So we've gotten something like this. Beautiful. So we got it there. So let's place it on all frame. Let's place it on the tablet. Control V. Okay, there's something we're not doing, so we'll send this to the back. Yeah. Then let's place it on the mobile too. Control V. And certainly we have to reduce this. I have to reduce this. Send it to the back. Reduce. And send to the back. Control C. Then I'll place it here also. Control V. Send to the back. Yeah, beautiful. So with this now, we can now prototype and check what we have been doing. So to prototype, as always, you check your prototype setting. See, this is our prototype setting. So we'll change, since we are prototyping for laptop, desktop, we change this to desktop. Then we prototype. Flow starting point. No scrolling. Let's say scroll vertical. Then okay, we'll bring this forward, bring to front. Then yeah, we want this to be fixed. Scroll with parent, we're changing this to fixed. Okay, and I think we change this to fixed in everywhere too. Scroll with parent, fixed, fixed, fixed. Then yeah, no scrolling. Let's give it a vertical scroll. No scrolling, vertical scroll. No scrolling here, vertical scroll. Why we change this to mobile? We also change this to mobile. I'm also changing this to mobile. Okay, now let's get everything on. So now this is the desktop frame. So we'll go over to prototype, show prototype setting, fix this in desktop. So I'm going to fix this in Mac Pro 14. Desktop, Mac Pro 14. So this is it. So I'll click this. Yeah, beautiful. So this is what I have. So this is for the desktop setting. As usual, this is what we have. We have each of these working as it's supposed to be. Then now for the tablet frame, we'll come over to tablets, change prototype setting to tablets. We use 1024. Okay, so this is our tablet frame. Again, the whole nav menu working as it ought to work. Then having done that, we'll go over to mobile frame. For mobile frame, we'll change the prototype setting once again. Change prototype setting to So with this, okay, the status bar is supposed to be static, so let's change the setting to stay in one place. Change this to stay in one place. We change this also to stay in one place. Change this to stay fixed here. This is already fixed. This is fixed, staying in place. So now, so this is what I was saying. So what if I click this, if I click on menu, if I click on the menu icon, I want it to take me here instantly. So that's what will happen now. Beautiful. Then if I click, if I will click on this, it should take me here. Beautiful. So this is it. So this is all for the header menu. See you again in our next tutorial, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, do well to subscribe. Thank you.